So in my last video, we talked about why nice guys, or people pleasers if you will, are often getting friend-zoned. Is because that they fail to simply express themselves, fail to express who they already are, who they naturally are. And it's not that they have to be some other kind of person, but that they simply just fail to express. Now, besides the obvious fact that the other person won't get a real feeling of who you are if you fail to express yourself, or that they won't really get the full picture or get the emotional feeling of you, there are two other reasons why it's having such a huge effect on the people that we're in contact with, regardless if it's in a romantic sense, like relationships, or you're trying to attract a girl, or if it's just friends or people around us. The number one reason is that we are trying to hide something of ourselves when we are failing to express ourselves, or we're deliberately holding back, especially in a romantic sense, where it'll even make people be scared if we're not willing to show our true colors because we're failing to be authentic with them. And often it comes across as we are hiding our agenda, like we have some kind of secret agenda, or we're trying to somehow manipulate them. And if you look at when people pleasers or nice guys are attracted to a girl, that's often the case because they're trying to hide their agenda, which is that they want to make her attracted to them. So for an example, let's say that a guy is on the street and he sees a girl that he's super into, and so he finally builds up the courage to go talk to her. Now, let's say that he's super scared, then often he won't start the interaction with, "Hey, I'm sorry I saw you and I thought you were just super gorgeous and I had to come and introduce myself, or I had to come and say hi," or whatever the case is. And it isn't that it has to be verbalized, that it has to be expressed with words. But when he's not expressing it with words, and he's also trying to hide it with his body language, with his tonality, and instead he might end up saying something like, "Oh, was wondering if you could show me where the nearest Starbucks is, or where the direction is to this place." And that's all he's asking her, and then they talk, and then he's finally building up the courage to ask for her number. Then there is a huge difference between the fact that he's asking for her number and the way that he's come across during the rest of the interaction. So now it's like, what the fuck? He wants her number, but then it isn't clear why he wants her number, because he hasn't expressed that. He hasn't expressed any desire to want with her, and he set an intention when he started that interaction, when he was talking with her, that he just wanted to get the direction. And so clearly he was hiding his agenda until he couldn't hide it any longer, and he asked for her number. So if you're on the receiving end there, and the person is firstly trying to just get direction, something that is very normal, and your understanding is, oh, he just wants directions, and suddenly there is some kind of agenda that he actually wanted some kind of romantic encounter with you. There is a huge split in those two agendas, and that will be very uncomfortable because he's not authentic. He has a hidden agenda, which means like you can't trust that person, and he's super incongruent in how he is and how he expresses himself, so he might as well lie for the rest of the relationship or the rest of the time you're talking with him. Another example that I'm sure most of us are familiar with is when a salesperson comes up and tries to be friends and tries to be casual and pretend that they don't have any interest in getting your money, until the point where they're directly asking for the sale, and you're like, whoa, and it feels uncomfortable. It feels like they're trying to get something out of us. So the one way to fix that is quite easily be honest and upfront about our intentions, and set that intention from the beginning, so you aren't incongruent, and so the other person that you're interacting with is understanding that that's what you're interested in. If you come up and you're interacting with a girl and you say, "Oh, I just saw you and I thought you were super attractive and I wanted to say hi to you," and then afterwards you ask for her number, it seems very obvious that that was the direction that the conversation was going. And again, it's not that it has to be expressed with words. Very often it's a lot more powerful if it's expressed with the tonality, the undertone of what you're saying, the body language, the way that you look at her. But the important part is that it is expressed, so it doesn't come across as some kind of hidden agenda. Now, the other reason why that failure to express ourselves is so important is that number two, it makes the other person that we're interacting with feel stifled when we don't. And again, it's regardless if it's a friend or in a romantic sense, but the reason it's important in a romantic sense is that people don't feel comfortable when they're stifled. It's not a nice state to be in. So an example of this is when I met my ex-girlfriend for the first time. She was raising money on the street for charity, and I walked by and talked with her and her colleague. And I noticed that we had really good chemistry, and I wanted to make sure that we could have a conversation that wouldn't just be the regular salesperson to customer conversation. And so as we were talking and joking, I decided to take it a bit further to make sure that we could joke around with each other and to see if we were like a right fit for each other. And so I said to her, because I have this tattoo on my chest, I said to her, oh yeah, I got that tattoo, but I actually just got it because I wanted to have a dick on my chest. Now I knew that one of two things could happen. Either she would love the joke and she would fire back at me and we would have a tremendous funny time because we were able to make so obnoxious jokes with each other, or she would feel uncomfortable because I went too far out there, in which case she wouldn't be a person that I wanted to hang out with because we wouldn't have good chemistry. Now what happened was that she said to me, oh, I bet your dick is not any bigger than that one on your chest. And I died laughing of it, and we ended up meeting up later that night and ended up going out for 10 months. So the solution to that problem is quite simply, again, when we're meeting someone for the first time, being able to express ourselves and take it maybe a bit too far to make that bold statement. Because what happens is that the other person will see that bold statement and they'll feel a sense of acceptance for them to be just as bold and expressive as you are. If you're making an obnoxious joke, they'll know that you won't judge them if they'll do the same, and so they'll start feeling free and unstifled, which is amazing, which is a state that most of us actually just crave to be in, because quite frankly in today's society a lot of us are spending most of our time being very, very stifled. Now, to not give myself too much credit, in all fairness, my ex-girlfriend were a lot more unstifled than I were, which is one of the reasons that I felt so attracted to her, because again, people that are very unfiltered is incredible to be around because we feel so much freedom to be ourselves, to express ourselves. And again, that's something that all of us really, really crave often. Now, I sure as hell don't like the idea of people being robotic in the way that they're interacting with each other and upfront deciding on what to say instead of just following the flow. But with that being said, as I mentioned, in today's society, we're really, really stifled, and so if being able to express ourselves and having to consciously decide on what to say to make ourselves and the other person feel unstifled and be able to kind of smoothen the interaction a little bit more and remind ourselves of how we like to behave and express ourselves, I think that can be a tremendous help, because so many of us are in the bad habit of filtering constantly ourselves, and so it can be hard to know what we actually want to say from a pure place because we're so accustomed to just be filtered and stifled. Now that leads me to my final and most important part, which is the importance of doing it for you. You see, the way I see it, the solution to this, as I mentioned, is to set a strong intention at the beginning of the interaction that clearly indicates that you're not just interested in being friends or being the customer if you're meeting her while she's working her job or while she's selling you on a product, because that will really make sure that she knows to expect that you're interested in her and won't feel uncomfortable if you're making the move in one sense or another, as well as expressing yourself boldly, especially in the beginning of the interaction, because it will make the other person unstifled, it will make you unstifled, it will make you and the other person feel comfortable and relaxed, which is needed if you want to get the chemistry going between the two of you. And again, it sets that frame of the interaction where the other person expects you in a way to be expressive, which will make it a lot more easy for you to express yourself. But that being said, the way I see it, those solutions, or that solution to be setting a strong and bold, expressive intention of the interaction, it is in a way a temporary solution, because the root of the problem, or the disease if you will, is how much weight that we place onto the other person. You see, the reason you fail to express yourself with that girl that you're so attracted to is because in your mind, consciously or unconsciously, you're placing more value onto her than you are to yourself. It's more important what she thinks of you than what you think of yourself. It's more important if she likes you than if you like her, which is super sad. It's incredible sad, and one of the reasons is that in most social circles in today's society, in the Western world, somehow our ability to sleep with beautiful women are in a way directly linked to our social status. We place so much value on our ability to sleep with beautiful women, something that is in no way relevant to who we are as a person and our worthiness as a person. And so while these advice are really good if you want to be able to not be friend-zoned in a way, what is 10 times more important is to understand that you don't have to sleep with girls, you don't have to make a girl attracted to you to be good enough, to be worthy. So many guys, and I know this because I've worked with them and I've spent years upon years of my own life dedicated to being good at attracting girls into my life, because so many guys are focused on how they can get the girls and are trying to learn techniques to get the girl, never asking themselves, do I even like this girl? Because it's so important to just get that rush, to just get that approval, that validation of hooking up with a girl. And they're selling themselves in a way to make the girl like them, because a lot of the time the reason that you don't have chemistry with a person is also that you don't have chemistry with that person. So don't try to force it, don't try to learn how to make that person attracted to you, because in a way a lot of people aren't meant to be attracted to us and we aren't meant to be attracted to them. But again, because we place so much fucking value onto the ability to have girls being attracted to us as men, being able to show our friends, yeah, I fucked that girl, yeah, here's a picture of her ass, look at the girls I'm able to hook up with, they're so gorgeous, and being able to brag about it, or just in general placing so much value onto it, it makes it really hard to love ourselves regardless of whether or not we're able to attract them. So before you're focused on how or learning how to get her, try to ask yourself, are you interested in her? Is there actually chemistry between the two of you? Is she actually a girl that you are attracted to? Because to wrap this up, most of the time when we are attracted to someone, that's at least my belief, when we're attracted to someone who's not attracted to us, what we are then attracted to about them is often just the idea of them. It's not really the real person, but it's more often the idea of them, because if we are attracted to them and they're not attracted to us, then they're probably not feeling the chemistry, which means that the chemistry is probably not there. And it's probably just an idea, an illusion, a fantasy about how our lives would look or how people would react to us if we were able to say, yeah, I made her attracted to me, yeah, that's my girlfriend, yeah, I'm hooking up with her. So ask yourself, is it really important to get that person? Or are you able to feel good enough in yourself the way you are right now without having that person, that girl, being head over heels in love with you? So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments or want to share your thoughts, then please do so in the comments or message me. I'd love to hear them. And yeah, thank you for watching. Remember to stay true to you.